Hello again. If you would please put your palms together for a meditation reading. The Dharma speaks to us through the sounds of the world, forcefully and eloquently and beautifully. It speaks of the unending change around us, the immutable truth of interdependence, and the peace in nature. Do we have the ears to hear and listen? An excerpt from the poem Listen from the book The Heart of the Buddha Dharma by Reverend Kenju T. Tsuji. If you would please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. There's a parable. When we hear a siren of an emergency vehicle or fire truck, and the sounds are far, far away, you hear it, but we shrug it off because it doesn't concern us. However, when the sound of that siren approaches closer to our home, our neighborhood, we tend to listen more closely and more intently, and our senses become more alert to what's happening. But the siren, which is in the distance or close to home, has a purpose. And it's the same purpose. But one is not affected by the siren if it's far, far away. The siren approaching our home is like the teachings of the Buddha. When we hear the words of the teachings, at times we get puzzled, and times we understand, and at times it also pertains to what's happening with us. And we leave, or we hear it, and we will use these words and teachings. And these teachings become embedded in our hearts, and it becomes embedded in our minds, otherwise known as we remember them, and we can utilize them anytime, any place. And each individual will interpret the teachings according to what is happening within themselves. But as the book says, there are 84,000 paths that we can take. There are also 84,000 paths to interpreting the teachings. And we have the choices of what we want to be aware of. Maybe it's our job. We focus more on our job. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's home. Maybe it's our spouses. Or maybe it's material things. But whatever it is, the choices are endless, because it's not going to be always one or the other. Maybe it's combinations of them. Who knows? You know, and maybe one day it could be our job. It's stressful. We don't know how to deal with the difficulties of it. Yet it can change in an instant by a phone call or notification that we have to focus on family matters or the home, whatever, so it can change instantly. Yet, I asked a question. When do we take the Buddhist teachings into our lives? Another question would be, there are so many teachings. How and what do we choose to live by? Well, to me, it seems the second question is the easiest to answer. If you think about it, how our demeanor, our behavior, our mood affects others. So if you are kind and gentle that day, people respond in the same way. Even when others are having a terrible day, you do not have to react. Or think about our words. Before we say things that we shouldn't be saying, think about our words. Think how our words affect others. When our thoughts are of anger, we do not have to act on those thoughts of anger. We take deep breaths and gather our thoughts and look at how to express that anger without hate or without anger. It's all to it. Think about it. We have to think. And doing good deeds benefits not only ourselves, but it can benefit others. Life is difficult. And to understand the Buddha's teaching sometimes is difficult. It's difficult to hear. Maybe because it's the truth. We have so many choices. And that's why it is said we have 84,000 paths or choices to make. And if one doesn't work, we can use another path to see what does work for us. But Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu, is there to clear our thoughts, to calm our feelings, and to make us to really truly think. And it helps us to think so that we can choose the appropriate path to take. And using the appropriate actions and words. And the Nembutsu just helps us to see, to feel, to hear, and to know others. We share Namu Amida Butsu in thankfulness, gratitude, and appreciation for its directions and guidance. It never abandons us. It's us who abandon the Nembutsu. Yet, there's no judgment, there's no discrimination, and it's always accepting us just as we are. If you would please join me in Gasho. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu. And thank you for listening today.